I'm going to reintroduce him, I guess. Leo has been working in the fundraising space for over 40 years. He's helped raise millions and millions of dollars for many organizations. He's a passionate Notre Dame fan, a very popular guy at the Union League, and just can provide an endless amount of guidance, I feel, especially in this field. So with that being said, Leo's going to be sharing a presentation, and he's going to be possibly sharing some video. We're all kind of getting used to the Zoom platform, so if we stumble at any point, just give us a little break here as we adjust everything. But Leo, I'm going to hand this over to you and let you take it away.
And as you can see, Marty didn't say I have a face for radio, so I'll for that.
But I disagree. Although the beard, I don't know.
Thank you to my great friend Marty for inviting me to do this. I hope and pray that all of you and all of your families and all you love are safe and well. I do miss the club, but more miss all the club members and the staff. And thanks to all of you for taking time to join us this morning. As we said, it's fundraising and advancement during a crisis. And as Marnie noted, I've seen numerous crises during my career, but this one is different. And I looked up the definition of a crisis, and it's defined as a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger. And some of the synonyms are catastrophe, calamity, cataclysmic, reversal, upheaval, distress, adversity, and disruption. And I know all of us are feeling all of those adjectives. Today, I'm just going to share some of my experience, but I don't pretend to have all the answers. And I know there's a lot of people on this call who do have many of the answers. So I'm just going to put this out there for discussion, dialogue, and maybe to inspire some thoughts or ideas. I have learned much more from the mistakes than any of the successes. And with all of our organizations and clients, we try to protect them from making those mistakes. So I'm going to share the screen here and have a quick presentation. And let's see here. Okay, so first just some perspective. Giving USA comes out every June and has tracked giving in the country for the last 50 years. And interestingly, when you look at this trend line, giving has only gone down twice in real dollars over the last 40, 50 years. One was the Black Monday in 1987. And I know we have a few traders on the phone who probably were there and felt it viscerally. And then 08 and 09, the Great Recession, which has been followed by the greatest and longest bull market in our country's history. Total giving did not decrease after events like the Persian Gulf War, the tech crash, dot-com bubble, the 9/11, the AIDS crisis, other financial and human and health crises. So I think that kind of perspective, even though we're in the middle of it right now, I know in the middle of the Great Recession with the in 08, 09, all campaigns stopped, all asking stopped, and people were frightened, afraid, and wondering if it would ever come back. And it actually came back the next year. Giving went up. So what happens is the need does not go away. And if anything, in crises like this, it is a way to enhance our case for the future. This next slide shows Giving USA versus the S&P 500. And interestingly, research has shown that a statistically significant correlation between the S&P 500 and giving in this country, just a few month lag. So for example, in 08, the S&P 500 went down by nearly 40%. This year, it's actually only down 13%, remarkably. In 09, the stock market went back up by 24% after '08, and giving went up that next year. So even though that's hard to imagine now, history has shown that as I said, the need does not go away, huge pent-up demand, and we would predict, based on experience on the other side of this, there's going to be a huge explosion of campaigns and major gift initiatives to address that need. And as Marne mentioned, we are the most giving country in the world, and those who can do respond after a crisis. Just some fundraising fundamentals, and everything is based on fundamentals. It's really how you apply it. And I'm going to talk about how you apply these fundamentals during and after COVID. First is we're all in sales. What are we selling? We're selling our case for support, our case for investment. That's the product. It's selling the invisible, and it's selling the impact. Leadership is another fundamental. Prospects. Willie Sutton was asked, why do you rob banks? He said, that's where the money is. So prospects are people who have money, have a willingness to give it away, and a relationship to the cause. And that's the key, a relationship to the cause or to the organization. And then more than ever, communications, marketing, branding, getting the message out. So the first I'm going to talk about is leadership. And right now, as we all know, leadership is more important than ever on all levels. And this is really an opportunity for leaders to lead and leaders to step up. So first and foremost, and I've been following this really, really closely, your organizations want to hear from the leaders. And we really feel that emails and website postings are not enough. And I think just take a page out of whatever you feel politically. What Governor Pritzker has done and what Mayor Lightfoot have done is communicate every day and be on a press conference every day. So we're not necessarily suggesting that, but if you haven't had your organization's leaders do a video message, we would recommend that. And I'm going to show a couple as an example. The other next point for leaders is don't sugarcoat it. Really identify and communicate what are the brutal truths of your organization's current reality. One of my favorite books is Good to Great, the Stockdale Principle. James Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war and then became a bit of a comedic sketch, unfortunately, even though he was a war hero because he was Ross Perot's running mate. The Stockdale Principle is based on those guys who were shot down in Vietnam and the Hanoi Hilton, those who didn't identify and confront the brutal truth that they were going to be there for 7 years, died early. And those who developed strategies to deal with the brutal truths were able to make it out alive after 7 years, including John McCain. Lead with gratitude and empathy. First, thank people and empathize and be other-centered. Focus on them and their needs, not so much on yours. Ask how the organization can help. Everybody needs help right now, but at least offer, we're here for you, we want to help you now, and we want to help in the future. And most of all, leaders need to take care of themselves so they can lead. And right now, mental, physical health, a little bit of Dr. Heal Thyself for me. What are they calling it? The quarantine 15, trying to avoid that. But take care of yourself and your health so you can lead. So that's first and foremost. And I've been, all the organizations I follow, I've been wanting to see what they're doing in terms of leading. So I have a couple examples here that I'm going to call up. Give me a moment.
While Leo's getting this all set, once again, if you guys have questions, feel free to chat them or raise your hand. And we want to answer anything that we can. and help you guys the best way we can. So if something comes up, please let us know.
Okay, right here. Okay, can everyone see this one?
Yes. Yes, Leo. Got
So,
it.
sorry, I am an obnoxious Notre Dame guy, and the first one is Father Jenkins.
It's been a
from
month
Notre
since
Dame.
Notre Dame had its first brush with the coronavirus. In the early hours of Saturday, February 29th, we began the evacuation of our students from Italy. Since then, we've suspended all programming overseas, delayed the return of students to campus after spring break, and eventually suspended all in-person instruction on campus until the end of the semester. Today, we mark a more positive milestone as we completed our first week of successful distance teaching and learning. This massive shift was relatively smooth thanks to the commitment, ingenuity, and just plain hard work of many. My primary message is simply one of thanks and congratulations for what you've accomplished to date. Thanks to our faculty who had to pivot so abruptly to online instruction. Thanks to our students who had to travel home and are working remotely. Thanks to those in the Office of Information Technology, administrative leaders, and those across the university who simply pitched in and did what needed to be done. Yesterday, I wrote a letter to our 2020 graduates that I had hoped I wouldn't have to send. Commencement means so much to our graduates and their families, and we very much wanted to celebrate it on campus. After consultation with medical experts, however, we concluded it would not be prudent to host a large few.
Okay, Leo.
That's why they call us the Fighting Irish. God bless you all, and remember, we are still Notre Dame.
Okay, that's one example, and I'm going to share another example. 4 of my 5 children have gone to Providence College, and their president also gave a message that I'd like to share as well. Give me a moment here.
And we had a question about, we can share this presentation. We're also recording the presentation. So for those of you who are members of the Union League, you'll definitely be able to have access to this. And you can always chat or email me later if you have any other questions or follow-up or want the presentation in another way.
Okay, here's another example.
I greet you from a strangely quiet Harkins Hall. We have folks working hard on this campus to help our students learn and finish the semester. We have folks in admissions and financial aid looking to recruit next year's class. But what we don't have on campus are the students. We have very few students on campus picking up their belongings. And it's strange. It's the beginning of April and students are leaving. Providence College in its history has survived some really difficult times. We've been through wars. We've been through fires. We've been through blizzards. We've been through recessions. And we've always emerged as a stronger community on the other side by the grace of God. And I firmly believe that that will happen this time too. If we stick together, if we support one another, if we maintain our compassion for each other, if we do what we can to help each other through this difficult period, Providence College will emerge on the other side of this as a stronger institution. And people have asked us how they can help. And we certainly need your support and your prayers during this time period. So I'm asking Providence College alumni, family, and friends to think about a donation to Providence College for the financial need of our students going forward. And I know this is a strange time to be asking, but it is a time when there are tremendous needs all around us. And if you're in a position to help us, I would ask you to consider doing that. As Coach Cooley says, it's us, it's we together, it's Friars, it's family. And this is the time for us to stick together as a family to help one another and on the other side of this.
So those are a couple examples, and if I were teaching a class right now, I'd call on all of you to ask what you liked or didn't like about those two different videos. But we don't have time to do that, so I'll fast forward to the punchline. As much as I admire and respect Father Shanley of Providence, if I were his fundraising communications consultant, I think he missed the mark. And he looked very uncomfortable. He doesn't necessarily like to ask, and I think he was counseled to make an ask. He did not lead with empathy. He did not lead with how is everybody doing. It was all about Providence. And while everybody needs to know, as I said, the brutal truth of what's going on, we recommend in any message, lead with empathy, care, concern. Everyone is feeling some type of grief and loss right now, and lead with gratitude, and be very sensitive about the ask. Be very sensitive. But that was all about the what's going on with Providence. He moved to the ask. I could tell he was uncomfortable doing it, and he didn't even end with some type of spiritual message or blessing. Father Jenkins, on the other hand, did talk about gratitude. He did not make an ask. He was very, very sensitive, and I thought it was very inspirational. So whatever the point here is, if your leader hasn't put their face out there with a message through all the various forms of social media, we would recommend that you do that as soon, as quickly as possible. So back to the deck.
And Leo, we had a quick question there. Someone, Mick, actually said the Notre Dame video seemed long. What do you think a good length of a video should be?
Yes, in fact, I forged ahead. It was 3.5 minutes. I think that's too long. The Providence video was 2 minutes. You know, Mick is more of an expert than I am, but I think 60 to 90 seconds is most what I would recommend.
Okay.
And would like, you know, Mick to weigh in on that maybe later. Okay, so just some other advancement strategies and tactics. They say that you know you're getting your message out when your audience says, we're sick of hearing it. So we don't, of course, don't want to make our audience sick, but we want to get our message out. So create consistent, concise, and customized communications. You cannot over communicate during a period like this. And more than ever, we have all these different media as ways to do that. And people can tune in or tune out, but push it out there. Implement constituent connection activities. What we mean by that is, for example, a college or university, a reunion. Our reunion has just been canceled, but we have to figure out other ways to connect. I think the Union League Club is doing a wonderful job here in terms of trivia nights, in terms of sessions with the chef, in terms of the art lectures, book gatherings, but anything you can do here to bring people together virtually. People are starved and hungry for it. What's interesting is it's easier than ever to have people connect because they don't have to get in a car. There's no expense, and people really are enjoying the face-to-face. Nothing will ever replace in person, but this is pretty darn good. Developing digital content to drive traffic to virtual events. Virtually every special event has been canceled for the foreseeable future. And we've been talking, and we'll talk later, about no more special events. Let's see, lessen reliance on special events. No more golf outings, no more auctions, no more paddle raises. And we've been saying that for years, but what's happened now is so many of our organizations that were having the spring galas now have huge holes in their budget and have to figure out a way to raise that money and have these, what they're calling virtual events. And out of the box, some of the virtual events I'm seeing are online auctions. Sorry to offend, but I think that's pretty lame and it doesn't turn anyone on. What the colleges and universities have been doing with their days of giving, where they develop customized content which draws people to the platform, we think that's a very, very effective way to create a virtual event. Also seeing a lot of technology. I'm not the latest and greatest, but just became aware of a firm that's doing virtual conventions and exhibits through virtual reality. So the technology is advancing very, very quickly, but we recommend, and it's kind of hard when we're shelter in place, to develop content, push it out there, and then draw people to your platform on a certain day of giving. And so there was a question about a day, Giving Tuesday or whatever is coming up. We'd recommend doing your own and not getting caught up in the noise. And there are firms that help you develop the content for these type of customized days of giving. Rahm Emanuel once said, always take advantage of a good crisis. That seems a little crass today, but we would recommend leverage this crisis to make your case more compelling. And what we're finding is emergency funding is working for human need, for student emergency funds, and to at least put it out there. Do not say no for your donors. They're big people and they can say no for themselves, but it's a dance between engagement and sensitivity. But don't be afraid to identify the need, and we're all in need, to put it out there, and basically in a empathetic and authentic way, if you're in a position to help, this would be a great way to help. So the critical, urgent, emergency needs is a great part of the case. Obviously, we're all learning Zoom. There's good Zoom and bad Zoom, and I know I was Zoomed out yesterday after back-to-back 6 Zoom meetings. So we're all learning, but the more we can learn about these and the other technologies, the better we're going to be in terms of connecting with our constituents. Systematically reach out to leading benefactors. We always recommend, who are your top 10? Who are your top 20? Top 50, top 100, leading lifetime benefactors. And this may sound simplistic, but if you haven't already, just take those 100 names and call me maybe. Start calling them. Email is too impersonal. And even if you leave a voicemail, health and wellness check, calling to see how you're doing, thinking about you, worried about you, hope you and your family and loved ones are doing well, and we're here if you need anything. And I've been trying to do some of that myself, both personally and professionally, and it has led to some incredible conversations, because right now people are feeling very vulnerable, very sensitive, and people are cracking themselves open at these times. So it is a wonderful opportunity to connect with people. Again, taking advantage of the crisis, use this time of universal disruption to focus on strategic visioning and planning to reevaluate, reinvent, reimagine, and ultimately transform your organization. Now is the time to be doing strategic visioning, strategic planning, dreaming on what you and your organization are going to look like on the other side of this. So we're in a couple of processes with organizations where we're doing virtual task teams. We're doing virtual focus groups. And it's a wonderful way to ask for advice and feedback without asking for money. And it's the old adage, ask for money, you'll get advice. Ask for advice, you'll get money. So right now is a great time to do planning. And in some ways, we're getting more engagement in our planning exercises now than we would have with in-person meetings, because people are available. Yes, people are still pretty busy, but because they're not traveling, it is making these less expensive and more efficient in terms of engagement. again, planning, develop a 90-day plan. Hopefully we're out of this in 90 days or less, but no one knows. The uncertainty is at an all-time high, probably in the history, and I'm not going to say of the world, but in a long time. And one organization we're working with is simulated 3 scenarios to get to the other side. The conservative at the end of 90 days, downside 1, and worst case. And obviously they're hoping they don't hit the worst case, but they're developing a plan right now to be ready for the worst case scenario. And again, ask for advice, give everyone the opportunity for a feedback loop to come back to you, and be open to constructive criticism and constructive feedback, because that's the only way we all get better. So that's, again, don't pretend to have all the answers. There probably aren't a whole lot of new ideas here, but hopefully some call to action that will get you thinking about what you can do right now, which will make all of us feel better that we're there, we're standing on the other side, and on the other side, we predict there will be a bonanza of fundraising and giving. It's hard to see right now, but it's happened every time. This is different, but we believe it's going to happen this time as well.
Awesome.
Thank you for your attention. Open it up to questions now.
Well, we did have a question earlier about the video, Leo, and it's one of the questions came from Thomas, and he said, how often or how many times do you think that there should be a video or some kind of communication on that front?
Well, again, they say, I'll go back to, you're getting through when they tell you it's too much, but I'm not sure there can be too much right now. So another organization I saw put out all leaders were doing their videos. Different programmatic leaders, the financial, the CFO, the development leader, for example, in the school setting, the principal, faculty members. And so I think everybody could step up, everybody can play a leadership role, and they're putting out a different 1 to 2 minute leadership video every week. Mm-hmm. And I'm enjoying it, quite frankly, the message.
Yeah. So I heard some concerns earlier about people are obviously operating on reduced staff. Do you have any advice on how to work through a reduced staff situation within the nonprofit world?
Well, it's that's the chicken and the egg. How do we get this done with everybody working remotely? I'm sure there's people on the call that can answer that better than I. But if you do have reserve funds, we would say now is the time to invest some of those monies in your communications, marketing, and branding now. For example, we had an organization that was going to have a gala of 300 people at $100 a person. That's $30,000. And they were hoping to raise $300,000. We're saying take that $30,000 you would have spent on chicken dinners and deploy that $30,000 into communication strategies like creating content and creating these videos. And as we all know, it can be done less expensive than ever, but it's worth the investment now, and we believe the return will be there.
Do you think that there's a difference between a smaller organization and some of these larger ones?
Yes. So we've got, within the last few weeks, we've gotten existential crisis calls where organizations literally, their charitable revenue and their earned revenue has stopped. And they're worried about making payroll. Right. They're worried about, just like so many small businesses, are they going to be in business? So we do not recommend this in ordinary times, but these aren't ordinary times. But Save Our Organization campaigns will work in this time period. Mm-hmm. We would not recommend ever doing it again, but if there's ever a time to have a Save Save Us campaign. Get that message out there that we're at existential risk. And if you really care about us and our mission, we need your help now, to the ability that you can do it.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from Rob, and he says, has the CARES Act opened up any new gifting strategies in your mind?
Well, I think the CARES Act, I think what that could do is, if you were a benefit of it, either as a non-for-profit or for-profit, to share that good news and to say we live to fight another day because of the CARES Act. And because of that, we do have 60 days or 90 days. And we're hoping to get to the other side. But in order to get to the other side, share the story and say, the CARES Act in and of itself is not going to be enough. And we still need your help. And again, do it sensitively and saying, we realize a lot of people are suffering right now, loss of a job, health issues, whatever. But if you're in a position to cut even a small check to us, we would appreciate your help right now to get to the other side.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice. Are there any other questions from people out here? We got a question from Logan. Actually, Logan, where are you? I'm going to open it up so you can ask your question live. So you're off mute now, Logan, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Marne. Leo, I was curious, and you kind of addressed it, but my question, I think, was, if you share, say that your organization benefited from the CARES Act or received an SBA loan, do you think that would, diminish the need that your donor, the perceived need from your donors, if you, received a significant chunk that, could only sustain your organization for a couple months, but your organization or your donors think that, oh, they got a big chunk of money, they don't need my support right now. What's kind of your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's really important for every organization right now to be transparent, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I believe it's good news, and people want to invest in success. And if they're going to give now, they want to make sure that whatever gift they make is in an enterprise that will make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't, and unfortunately, and this happened in 08, 09, Jane Addams Hull House was an example of a century-old social service that didn't plan for a crisis, and they went under. And so people do not want to invest in businesses that are going to go under. So I think if you can make the case that the CARES Act, that funding is going to enable us to not only survive, but thrive on the other end. And here's how we plan to do that.
Mm-hmm. We had a comment from Mick, and he said, I've suggested to some of my clients there's an opportunity when staff can't work in person. They can reach out by phone to donors, clients, and partners. And I think that this is really important because we all know everyone's at home. If there's someone that you've been trying to get in touch with, this is the time. This is the time to track them down. We know where everyone is. So to me, that I feel like there's a ton of opportunity. Leo, what do you think on that?
Without a doubt, I'll never I had a client who did not believe in using the phone. And she had a prospective donor who said, if you call me, I will make a 6-figure gift. And she called me and said, I have emailed him 5 times and he has not responded. And I said, Sarah, what did he tell you? And she said, well, he told me to call him. And I said, well, then call him. She called him, she met with him, he cut a 6-figure check, and she called me. She said, Leo, you are amazing. That was incredible advice. I'd like to take credit for incredible advice, but now more than ever, as you said, Marne, the personal touch in terms of hearing the voice, and basically Zoom is an in-person phone call. And again, nothing will replace as I like to say, face to face, nose to nose, eye to eye, or belly to belly. Nothing will replace the in-person, but this is pretty darn close. And the other, Mick, I think it's great. This can be divvied up with everyone. And take that list of 100 people, 100 leading benefactors. Just go to your list, do it in descending order of lifetime giving, and divvy up those names. Mm-hmm. Let's call, if you haven't already, let's call 10 of those people each week until we get it done, and keep working the list. Mm-hmm. And I'll bet you, not only will people appreciate it, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn how people are doing and how they're feeling and what they're thinking about you. And they want to know how you're doing. After 0809, Giving USA studies show that those people who didn't do this, 40% of those people didn't give to the organization again.
Wow.
They
so
remembered.
Good for now. It's good for your future of the organization.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of concern, Leo, about people who are used to doing business in person. That's who they are. That's what they do. Their clients are big clients, but everything's in person, and they're really concerned that they're losing that personal touch. What suggestions would you have for folks in that situation?
Well, I'm one of those people.
I know. I know.
And you just start wondering, will we ever shake hands again? So we said after 08 and 09, it was true that there was a new normal, that it was like Shark Tank out there for nonprofits in terms of the questions. There's going to be a new normal now. And I think what's going to happen on the other side is people are going to appreciate more than ever the personal touch. But until then, we're finding what we're doing right now is a pretty darn good substitute. For example, we're doing a project for Notre Dame University in Bangladesh. So we've been using Zoom for more than a year. And this summer, the missionaries from Bangladesh were going to come over to the States, and we were going to have functions in New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and San Francisco. And they were going to be the stars of the show, one of them celebrating their 50th anniversary as a priest. Well, they can't come over here now, and all those events aren't going to happen. So now we're doing virtual briefings, and we're probably going to do 20 to 30 virtual briefings hosted by our leadership council, and geography is not an issue. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. And it's not going to be quite the same thing, but it's going to be less expensive, less time to prepare and produce, and we're going to engage more people. So, there are some blessings in this in terms of the way we do business.
Mm-hmm. We have about 5 minutes left, and I have a really interesting question. I don't have the name here, but it's from Pi.org, and I'm actually going to unmute you, Pi.org, if you want to ask your question about Zoom versus non-Zoom.
So this is why I was on mute. I have my 3-year-old who is insisting on climbing all over me. So I have a problem with the folks who prefer and are used to in-person meetings. Executive directors of organizations, very high up people who still have a problem just clicking on the Zoom button and doing video calls. They don't have this problem. They just don't like it.
Yeah.
So anyways, does anybody have, I'm going to go on mute. Can you read it out?
Yeah. We'll put you back on mute, and I'll make sure your question's asked. So her concern and why she chatted it was that not everyone wants to do Zoom, or not everyone is good at using Zoom. So then what would be your best bet if an in-person meeting isn't possible, Zoom isn't possible? Are we still picking up the phone? Is that still the most effective next communication?
Well, we teach a major gift workshop at Northwestern Kellogg School. And one of the things we say, which sounds simplistic, if you meet with one person a day, that's 5 a week, that's 20 a month, that's 240 a year, you'll raise more money than you ever dreamed of. That's not possible right now, but what can be in its place if you have one personal contact a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 a week, 20 a month. We think the same thing will apply, not for immediate money right now, but for it's all about relationships. So whatever way you can have a personal touch, where they hear your voice, they hear a voicemail. A lot of people are uncomfortable with in person. One of our biggest challenges would be getting executive directors to go out and meet with people. Well, maybe they'll do Zoom. Really it's whatever it takes to get in front of people, either virtually, definitely virtually right now till we can do it in person again.
Mm-hmm. One last question here, Leo, and then I'm going to close it out, is from Thomas, and he's asking, health and human services seem to be really important right now. Any sense on what you're expecting to happen in other categories?
Yeah, so one of the adages I've always lived by in a case is people give to two things: changed lives or saved lives. And people give to people. So health and human services is, and faith-based have always been top in terms of what people give to, because it is saving lives literally right now, and changing lives. So we would recommend to the other organizations is show how your mission and how your vision on the other side is going to impact people, and change their lives or save their lives. And what colleges and universities are doing right now, higher ed, is really saying it's all about our students. And we're really worried about the graduating classes who don't have jobs and don't have commencement, and the incoming classes who parents saved their whole lives for their college education and now don't have the money to send them.
I think that's it. So Leo, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and hopefully giving people here a better sense of what the world's looking like from the philanthropy standpoint. If anyone wants to get in touch with Leo, obviously you can contact me. Leo, you want to share your contact information or email?
Sure. My phone number is 708-774-0815, 708-774-0815. Our website is latzandco.com, latzandco.com, and it's leo@latzandco.com for an email. Also on LinkedIn, and would be more than happy to talk to any of you offline, and really appreciate you taking time. I prefer in-person classroom setting, because you can see body language, and you could see those people falling asleep, and then you could try to wake them up. So I hope everyone was able to stay awake this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. So, the things that I took away from Leo's call, and I hope that you guys too, sounds like that top 100 folks on your list are really the #1 folks to be paying attention to, and make that message personal any way that you can. Maybe it's picking up the phone. You definitely want to have a video out there to kind of express what your organization's going through. Always be honest. And I know that we're going to be able to share Leo's presentation, as well as we'll have a recording of this presentation as well. So thank you for everyone for coming to the Business of Philanthropy at the Union League's meeting. And if you are a member of the Union League, please look into some of the other great things we have going on. We're doing these kind of talks. Our chef is really active. There's a great way to get involved with our food organization, and we are supporting a lot of our own nonprofits as well. So thanks for those folks who are coming here. Thumbs up to you, Ed F. And any other questions, comments, feel free to reach out to me. I'm Marne Smiley on LinkedIn, and then I'm marnie@bumperlanes.com. And I can connect you with Leo or connect you with any other materials here. I think that is everything that we needed. So with that, thank you everyone for being here. I know you're all on mute, so I'll just assume that it was a round of applause and claps for everyone here. And thank you again, Leo. You always are just a plethora of information, and I know we only hit the edge of the iceberg as to what your knowledge and experience is.
Thank you.